Hey guys, it's Eva Shockey. I'm here on the Gritty Bowmen podcast. I think the thing with writing books, and I don't know, people that write two, I guess they have no excuse, but the people that write one, I don't know if you know what you're getting into.
I was going to ask you.
I was shocked how much work that took.
Do you think you'll do it again?
I'm so passionate about what I do and the message I send and trying to get more people outdoors and healthy living and all that. You learn so much from how you were raised, whether you loved it or hated it or somewhere in between. And my mom's always said something which has never been so true and something that I can apply so much is you take what you love and leave what you don't. Being a mom is the best thing in the world. It is the best thing. My heart is full. Every time I think of her, I get teary-eyed. Like it is the greatest thing you can ever do in my mind is like have offspring and raise them in a positive way, especially here in the outdoor industry and hunting and fishing and appreciating where your food comes from, all those things.
So filming it, so then
YouTube.
when we produce it, it'll live on YouTube.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're advanced.
You guys have
Super.
really grown since 2 years ago now.
I know. You know, a lot has changed.
You could use a little more Eva Shockey signage around here since I'm sitting at this Hoyt table. But other than that,
hey, but I can see
awkward.
I see Bowtech right there.
I do too.
They're right there.
It makes me feel good.
Eva Shockey signature bow.
That's right.
Kind of a big deal. It's got teal. And it's got strings, and it's got a weave like a basket, and it's awesome.
Everyone's favorite bow.
Yeah, and you use it a lot, and you shoot things, and it actually works.
It does.
It works really well.
It's awesome.
It's proven.
It's the best ladies bow.
So Eva, it's the best ladies bow. In fact, when you actually look at the lady bow market,
Eva, can you move that a little closer?
I don't want to move this closer. What if people were licking it before me?
It is a legit concern.
What if someone has
That's good right
cool
there.
sores or something?
Oh,
Probably
yeah.
Bud Fisher.
I know. Those catching deer guys, they're a little creepy.
I don't trust him for a minute.
I would worry about, Bud. Bud's probably the one that I'm worried most about.
Yeah.
And I think that was his mic. One of my biggest things that I've been dying to do is to meet little Lenny Bow. And then we just talked about her coming to Salt Lake City, and we were actually trying to figure out babysitting arrangements. And
yeah.
he was like, well, maybe I'll just leave her. I'm like, can I ever meet your daughter?
I keep thinking about bringing her, but then I start doing the actual logistics of having her at these things, and I'm so busy. And in my head, it sounds great. And then I'm like, but what actually would she be doing? She'd have to be not here, and then I'm not going to see her anyways, and then we have to travel with her, and I wouldn't say flying is her strong
suit.
She is an angel, but flying is a little tough with her.
It's hard
and it stresses me out, especially when you're like at this event or something, when people would know me on the plane, and I would just be sweating, and that she'd be screaming, and I'm crying.
I got to get
at my favorite.
I got to get at like how mom life has changed you, because I have this theory, when you have a kid and now you can't go to sleep when you want to, like. Sometimes it's just a lot of work. You're changing diapers.
Sometimes.
It's like truly.
The odd time it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work every single day.
It's like, and so people change after they have kids. They're not the same.
It's all relative. Everything else, how hard everything else is relative now. Because I'm like, I don't know why I thought I was tired before. Like, I know I was busy, but what was making me tired, or what was making me feel like I wasn't getting enough sleep? I don't recall it. Not that I'm downplaying anyone else's life without babies, but now that I have her and I'm still doing all the stuff I was doing before, I'm like, this is what being tired feels like, or being busy, I guess.
Well, and then a lot of women, after they have a kid, they want to get their body back and feel good again and feel strong and all of that, and that's a whole process because it takes a toll, man.
Well, that's the other thing. Was before I'd be like, I don't want to go to the gym, or, I don't really want to go, but I need to go, and I'd force myself, and I'd be like, meh. Now I'm like, I want to go to the gym. I just I can't get there because I have a baby. There's nowhere to put her. I don't have like parents or have, so I think about what was making me not go to the gym before, because now I would do anything to be able to just pick up and go when I want, but I really, it's a serious effort to get to the gym now because you have to coordinate everybody, but at the same time, it's just the best thing in the entire world. So it sounds, no matter how much you say all these things are harder, it's still the best.
Yep. Yeah, I think I remember when we had our first kid, and I'm a sleep alpha. Like, I like to get lots of sleep.
I've never heard that before.
I'm into 10 hours or so if I can get it. But I'll settle for 7. I can function on 7.
Meanwhile, Eva is on the phone at like 4 a.m. Guys, I can't sleep. So I'm just going to Instagram.
What did you get, like a total 3 hours last night?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. So
4 hours. But
I'm being that sleep alpha and having a baby. and then when we had our second one, it seemed like when one was awake, the other was asleep, and so you had to stay awake the whole time. Like at least
we
when
only
you
have one, so that's what I'm worried about. That once you have
for
two,
real.
They're crossing over, and then you're really like, wait.
Because right now, if you put Lenny Bo to bed, you're like, okay, I can grab like an hour. Right?
Here's the thing, though. Lenny sleeps 15 hours a night.
Yeah, so I no.
I'm going along with your story, but really in my head I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
You are so
I don't know.
lucky.
She's been sleeping through the night since 2 months. She's the best baby in the
I was telling Eva, I was like, hey, it'd be really great if Lenny and Aniston, my daughter, can hang out. And Eva goes, why? So she can teach your daughter how to sleep. And I was like, yeah, that's the whole point, because Lenny sleeps like
we put her
forever.
to bed at 7. She wakes up at 9:30.
The thing that's crazy about having kids, and here you've got Lenny Bo, who's your first. You talk about maybe having two. You think about a defense. One-on-one, you can tackle a lot. You can handle it together. With your spouse.
Right.
When you have 3 kids, it's a game changer. You have to go to a zone. You're outnumbered now. It's like you've got.
But you can grab the little one and then get the other 2 wrangled.
Yeah, it's a whole nother game. It's a whole nother thing, and it's Jordan's experience. This, my wife, and for everybody listening, if you don't know, my wife is named Jordan, so I'm not talking
Which
in.
Is so confusing.
So confusing, but
I've known you guys for 4 years now, and I still don't know how they're spelled.
I know. She wants to stop being called
change.
Jordan and be called Elizabeth. It's her middle name. She's like, I want to be called Elizabeth because now everybody says Jordan Harbison. They just think of you. I feel like you've stolen my identity. And I'm like, babe, it's not. We're Jordan. It's so much better that way. No, but it can
or
be
she
confusing.
Could just be, why doesn't she just put a little hyphen, or not a hyphen, one of those French things like Jordan?
One of those.
Jordan.
Jordani. Yeah, so it says.
I do call her Jordan.
Jordani.
Because my wife doesn't know which one I'm talking about.
Jordan went to college, and she got her degree in marketing and sales. And on her degree, it says Jordan Harbison, and it's spelled my way. So I've got a degree in marketing and sales, which is sitting on my wall that my wife earned for me.
Kind of unfair, but
it's way unfair.
It's also kind of good
to
be in your shoes.
So Eva, we kind of have been diving into it, but I think it's really interesting, and we were talking about it even before we got on the podcast about. I'd love to hear from you. Kind of dive into how we've, like I said, we've touched a little bit on it. Mm-hmm. Life before, it's you and it's Tim, and you've got this like we were talking about, your job or what you do in your career, and all of a sudden a kid is brought into it. And how have you been able to make we were talking about this last night. We're like,
yeah.
Eva has done, and whether, it's whatever we see on social media is different than what's behind the scenes, but you have done what we feel like is a great job of finding balance in your life, especially with how busy your schedule is with your partners, just being a mother, being a spouse, being married, and trying to just live life in this world that we live in, this industry. Mm-hmm. How have you been able to do it?
I was going to say, like, I'll be on the phone with Jordan. And
which Jordan?
Jordan.
This
is going to be the tone.
The manly Jordan.
Yeah.
And
so, which Jordan?
Manjo.
Yeah.
There's Wojo and Manjo.
I've been on the phone with him, and the kids are, like, going insane in the background, right?
Your kids or his kids?
His kids are going crazy.
Yeah.
Mine are older.
Mine
are all older. Like, they do the dishes. They do their homework. They get themselves up for school. We give them a ride, but, they do everything. They make their own lunches.
It's amazing.
And so they're older, and I'm on the phone with Jordan, and I can remember when your kids are really dependent on you, I don't know how you have time to do anything. And I didn't start Gritty Bowmen. I don't know if I could have done it and then kept doing 2 jobs because I had my other job for a couple of years while I started Gritty Bowmen. I don't think I could do it when I had little kids. It was possible because my kids were older when I finally got into it. And now I'm on the phone with him. I'm thinking he's running Mountain Ops. He's doing all these projects. And I'm thinking his wife is going to die. Like, she's got 3 kids. She break down in tears.
And they're sort of like Jordan.
They're intense individuals.
They're little carbon copies.
Yeah, so I'm curious, like, for you, how you're coping and how you're getting by and what do you think the future holds in
There's
the
a lot
family.
of questions in this one question. So first of all, I was trying to figure out what I want to talk about first. I'm definitely coping because being a mom is the best thing in the world. It is the best thing. My heart is full. Every time I think of her, I get teary-eyed. Like it is the greatest thing you can ever do, in my mind, is like have offspring and raise them in a positive way, especially here in the outdoor industry and hunting and fishing and appreciating where your food comes from, all those things. So that in itself, if we're talking about something else that wasn't really a good way to spend your time and I was trying to balance everything, I'd be like, oh, it's the worst. But it is the best. So there's no part of me that would ever not want to have that. And I kind of think of my life as there's been 3 different big phases. There was my early 20s when I didn't have a husband.
Braided hair.
I had braided hair.
The cornrows.
Okay, that was when I was like 13. That was a lot earlier than my early 20s. I mean, like the early 20s, being an adult, I just traveled whenever I wanted. I went on a gazillion trips a year. I hunted pretty much all year long, and it was awesome, but I had nothing else. There was no balance. And then I met Tim, and I still hunted a lot, but I had Tim, so I would definitely balance that a little more. And now I have the baby and Tim and the hunting, and have my job's picked up a lot. There's a lot more stuff going on, and the balance is so hard. And I appreciate you saying it looks like I have balance, and it's not that I fake it on social media. It's just a constant struggle to find that balance because I love all the different elements so much, and I think I'm just grateful for that. It's not like there's some parts I hate. I love hunting in the outdoors, and I love my baby, and I love my husband, and I love where we live and all those things. It's just being in an industry like this that's so welcoming to family, and that I grew up in it. I mean, I was at these shows. Well, there's a couple little kids around here. I was at these shows when I was 4 every single year. My birthday falls. It was last week, but it usually falls during ATA. Yeah. And I've had my birthday at trade shows probably since I was 5 years old consistently, because I was raised in this world where, we all hunt as adults, but we all of us bring our kids out there. I see pictures of you guys all the time. Bring your kids out and show them why we love it, and you teach them about it. And that's, if I was in an industry that wasn't welcoming to that, I would probably have to walk away from it, knowing how much I love being a mom. But I'm in this industry that
embraces it.
Yeah, embraces it, and it's so happy and healthy, and I see everyone else with their kids out there, and it makes me appreciate all the other parents a lot, because I see how hard it is. It's a lot easier to hire a babysitter and leave her at home 100%. Obviously, it's sad. Like, it makes me miss her, but, it's just easier logistically. But I try so hard to include her in as much as I can. And she turns a year tomorrow, actually. So she's only a year old. She doesn't know, but I notice she loves being outdoors. She loves playing with leaves. She points at deer racks and elk racks and all that. And I said, that is just, it makes me feel so fulfilled that we're working so hard to bring her out and include her. Yeah. And she already has picked up on those things. So it's just an ongoing battle.
How has, motherhood changed you? Are your priorities different than they were before? What is being a mom? How does being a mom change how you see the world?
It has. My priorities are different just because her and Tim, my husband, are my number one. He was already my number one before, but he's in Dalton, big boy, and he was busy. So it's not like I had to rush home to see him, because he gets it. He travels. He was a pro hockey player for years. So we've both lived pretty big lives, of adventures and travels and trips. Having a baby, here's the difference that I've noticed. So you say it was hard. You wouldn't have been able to start this with kids because, they're little and they're busy. But I'm in the position of your wife, kind of, and I'm the one that's doing, my husband works a lot, so he's busy, like a normal husband usually is, not to be traditional kind of roles, but he's very busy, has a great job. He retired from hockey. He does commercial real estate. But I'm the mom figure, still trying to do all this stuff, and it's really hard. It's hard because there's days you feel guilty. There's days that I think I'm like, I can't, I want to be with her, and I can't. Tomorrow is her first birthday, and I'm going to be here at the ATA show, and if I start thinking about it, I feel mom guilt. But at the same time, she doesn't know. I'm here doing things that I would be so proud that when she's a 7-year-old girl, she can look and say, her mom worked hard, kind of hustled, kind of tried to do all these things for her, and to show her that women can do everything, whatever it is you want. And I'm not a feminist in a way where girls have to get out there and hustle and be crazy busy and not be moms. I'm a feminist in a way, whatever you want to do. If you want to be a stay-at-home mom, that's awesome. My mom was like that, and I thought it was the best upbringing. I'm obviously sort of a little bit of both. Yeah. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and then I'm gone for a week or whatever my trip is, and I don't know, it's just... Yeah. It's fun, though. It's wonderful. I don't. It's hard to really put it into words.
I was going to say, you and I have actually known each other, I think, for 5 years now. And when did you meet Tim? Was that?
5 years ago.
It was about
6 years ago.
About the same time.
We've been married for almost 3 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there's some people that they have some fears and tendencies that as women that have these careers, they're like, when I do this, like I'm going to lose out on happiness because I'm going to sacrifice some things to be a mother. Mm-hmm. And I think what you've shown a lot of women is that, listen, you can still chase your dreams. You can still have a career. You just have to have balance. And life is simply that. It's finding balance.
Yeah.
It's not that, and you said it, it's not that it's easy.
Yeah.
It's
and
hard.
It's not that it's always balanced.
And it's not
like I feel like I'm 50-50. Everything's great. One day I'll be like, holy smokes, I'm losing my mind. And then a week later, I'm like, okay, I've got this. Yeah. And then it goes back and it's
like when you were on that plane, when you were on the tarmac with Lenny for how many hours?
12.
12 hours. I don't know if you know this.
Plane in our seats.
Jordan and I were like literally stuck to her Instagram story because Jordan's like, she's on a plane for 12 hours with Lenny.
It was supposed to be 5 and it got delayed. They pushed us and then landed us and they wouldn't let us off. And so I had this 11-month-old on the plane for 12 hours.
And Lenny
by myself.
Yeah. And
how did the other passengers?
Me as an adult was freaking out because I'm like, I need to get off this plane regardless of my baby here. And then I kept being like, I need to keep this together because I have an 11-month-old. She's doing relatively okay. And when we got off that plane after 12 hours, it was literally 12 hours or like even more a little bit, 12 and a half. We got off the plane and anyone that has babies has to wait for your stroller right at the gate or right at the where you exit. Yep. And so all the lucky people were walking up with no babies, and then there was about 4 moms there, me and like a few other moms with little babies that were waiting for their strollers, and all of us were just like haggard, like our hair was, all of us, a couple of people were crying.
Banged up.
It was, all of us were like, we know exactly how you feel right now, because everyone else was freaking out and they had no kids there, and all of it, we were just, it was hard, I'm pretty resilient on that stuff, and I travel my whole life, and I get it. I get traveling. If something gets delayed, I'm like, whatever, everyone's safe. Who cares? I'll go walk around the airport for 5 more hours. But when you have that little baby screaming and everyone's staring at you, and I feel like there's just eyes on me and I'm sweating.
Yeah.
And there was a moment of faith in humanity that you experienced, that somebody came and really reached out and helped you. And obviously, I think, did you say it was somebody that also had like?
No, it wasn't. So after that 12 hours, and then long story short, they lost my luggage, so I had no bags. Then I missed my connection, obviously, because we were 6 hours late for it.
Yeah.
I had to go get a hotel room, and when I got to the hotel after all that, took a shuttle with my baby in the stroller, got there was a lineup for the hotel because everyone's flights were canceled and delayed because of weather. There was like an hour and a half lineup at the hotel to check in, and it was past Lenny's bedtime, and I mean, it's not a very exciting story, but basically I got there going, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I started waiting for about 20 minutes, and she was crying because she was overtired.
She's
and
done.
I was like just stressing, and then finally a couple at the very front of this huge long line was like, are you traveling by yourself? And I said, I am. And they said, do you want to go in front of us? I know you've had a long day. And I burst into tears. There was 300 people there staring at me budge in front of all of them. So anyone that was at that Hyatt, sorry that I budged and I was crying and I brought Lenny to bed and she went to sleep, and I woke up and I was 100 times better. And I saw them actually at breakfast the next morning. I said, I am so sorry. Not my finest moment, but you have no idea how much I appreciated that.
That is so nice.
Hey, we're going to wrap up the live here, but we're going to keep having this conversation. People want to catch the rest of this, they can go to
We'll try to
Gritty
not talk
Bowmen.
about just babies the whole time.
No, I think that's totally relevant. I like babies.
Yeah, I think we're dads, we're family guys, we're all parents, and I think it's a topic that, listen, we could sit here and talk about hunting, and we're here at a hunting show, but at the end of the day, like, I think what's fascinating is what you've just been speaking to is we're all not perfect by any means. I mean, we're all striving.
Some of us are more perfect than others.
Yeah, I mean,
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Amongst being married, having Lenny Bow, is you write this book, and you put out this book, Taking Aim, right? Mm-hmm. And it, Jordan has read it. You sent it to her and to Nicole, and many girls and many gentlemen have read it themselves. And what I was trying to get to is, you know, where you have been someone and you've grown up in this industry and you've been really a role model for women. A huge part of your mission in your book too, and Taking Aim, is showing people that, you know, dreams and hard work and things can come true for you. Mm-hmm. And you're sharing your life. But what's been really cool about you, Eva, is you've kind of broken the barrier of just being in our industry. You've actually kind of been able to touch people outside of our industry and become an ambassador for what I would say is mainstream. Mm-hmm. You've appeared on Fox and Friends, and this book, you did a great tour with it. And I mean, how has the book been for you, and what's kind of that process been like? And
so the book Taking Aim has been an incredible experience. I actually look back at what you're talking about when it came out, and I wrote it when I was pregnant and then into when I had Lenny. They gave me, I remember I had her on January 12th and last year, 2017, and the publishing company, we were hitting deadlines until like, I think maybe the 10th. And then they gave me about 2 weeks where no one texted me or emailed me about deadlines. And then 2 weeks later, all of a sudden I start getting like, okay, we need to get these chapters. And I'm like, what do you think? I had a baby, and all of a sudden it's easy. Like,
yeah.
2 weeks into having a baby is the worst time ever. And I look back and it was me, and like obviously I'm sitting right here and I go, I don't know how I did that. I don't know how if I could do it again, and I'm sure I could because you just deal with it. It's kind of just hashtag mom life. Just in general, every day you're like, okay, I'm going to get through today.
Yeah.
Go try to survive and be a good person, be a good mom, and be a good wife, and be a good ambassador, and all those things. And
I think it's being able to achieve, in the face of all that kind of adversity or what you have going in front of you. There's a lot of people who quit before they even get started. And
it's easier to do that.
Yeah.
I don't usually do it, or I don't do it. I don't
right.
think. But I would say there's times when it's crossed my mind where going,
it's an ambitious thing to write a book, right? And then get it published and all that.
And do an audio version of it, too.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so hard to do the audio version.
I can't imagine.
Even though that was only 2 days, it was two 8-hour days back to back. So I did the audio version myself, read it all, cover to cover. I don't even know how to really explain it, but those 2 days were worse than writing the book because it was so hard to read your book, and you have to be so exact. And it was also kind of embarrassing, sort of fun little fact behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I'd be reading my own book that I wrote, reading words that I write down, but I don't actually say them out loud. And I had producers in New York on the phone. The poor guys, they had it worse than me. They had to actually sit on the phone for those 2 8-hour days.
Wow.
Here, listening everything, making sure I didn't mispronounce anything. And I'd get to a word and I'd have to stop going, I don't know how to say that word. And I wrote it in my book because they're words, I know what they mean. And you just don't say it in conversation.
Oh, wow.
And the people, I'm like, I swear I wrote this word into my book, but I don't know. I probably should have thought it through.
Well, written and spoken are so different.
They are. And it was shocking. I said, this is kind of a reality check to me, how little I could pronounce.
Yeah, like I'll write a voiceover for like a film, and then if I read it how it reads well, like if you're picking a print magazine, you're reading through it, it needs to be written in a way that people can really follow it, right? When you use common speech, though, you talk different and people can read through it. But if you were to write how you talk, people get confused.
Yes, absolutely.
And I've noticed I'll write it for the film, then I actually have to rewrite it because that's not how people talk.
We do that a lot. Well, and also there's different stages of written word. There's blog posts, there's Instagram, social media, then there's TV shows, which we obviously do as well, and then there's book, which is way up here because the amount of words you need to put on that paper, and how I was in shock when I started writing, and the editors were like, you need to really tell a story. You don't say, oh, I was in Alaska when I was 12 and I saw a moose. You're like, what were you looking at? What mountain range were you looking at? What were the flowers doing? What was the sun doing?
Picture.
And then I'm like, well, I don't remember what the flowers were doing when I was 12, let alone last week. And, and then you can't have to make sure you're giving all the right information because you can't say, oh, something was blooming and I was there in September, because if that doesn't bloom in September, people are going to rip me apart and be like, you're
totally.
lying about that.
I'm doing this film, and I wrote this big long story, and I'm like, oh, that was so good. Like, I wrote that good, and I have some like analogy that I'm using that Phil paints the picture in the mountains and the sun, and then I put it on the film, and it's like redundant because the film captures the sunset and it captures that elk screaming. I don't need to describe it now. But I do need to put something in, but it's totally different.
Well, I had to work backwards because I come from the TV side.
Yeah.
That's what I've grown up with, and that's exactly what my issue was. Is I'm so used to talking in front of the camera, but viewers can see where I am, so I don't really have to describe it. I just kind of am describing what's going on with me. But in a book, no one can see anything, so I have to describe what's going on with me and my dad and whoever else is there, plus this scenario, plus the weather, plus I mean, it was. I think the thing with writing books, and I don't know, people that write two, I guess they have no excuse, but the people that write one, I don't know if you know what you're getting into. I was going to ask you. I was shocked how much work that took.
Do you think you'll do it again?
I say that I just made fun of people that write two, and as much as it was the hardest thing ever, it was pretty cool.
Because you have
'Cause
this
you're
record now of some of your ideas and thoughts that kind of lives on forever.
I think so that book it was not meant by any means to be an autobiography. I think I'm too young to have anything like that out there. But a lot of the stories, they're just personal family stories. So it kind of comes across like that. And I said to my dad, I just turned 30, and that book, writing somewhat of an autobiography at 30, that's a lot of stuff to write in there. And I said, I don't feel like I have a lot more to say as far as stories. And I guess I would if you really picked it apart. Yeah. I would write a different kind of book. I'd love to write a children's book. I'd love to, I have this idea of writing
creative.
some kind of book about a kid's book about where does your food come from. And I think that would be cool. A cookbook, something like that. And down the road, another book would be great. But I just don't know. I think I need to go and live a little bit more because writing a novel about your life at 30. I feel like I've done a lot of stuff, but it just sucks every story out of you. That novel, you have to have so much content in there. And it was
I honestly think you could write an entire book about just your last year and and the mom life.
When you were talking earlier about, I thought about it, but not as deep as when you brought it up. I had, in the midst of everything I'm doing and feeling busy, my wife kind of takes on the heavy load of the kids, right? So even when I had the corporate gig and I would go to work, when the kids were younger and they would wake up in the middle of the night and you'd have to, change diapers and feed them, I slept right through that stuff. Suzanne took care of that.
I'm Suzanne in this.
Yeah, I didn't quite have the hardware.
I'm Suzanne, but then I also have to go do all the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's intense. Only experience I have, Suzanne had cancer, and there was 6 months of chemo that she went through, and during that period, and my kids were older, but not that old. But they learned. I talk now, and I kind of take for granted sometimes. They do make their own lunches. They clean the house. They do their own laundry. Almost all of that happened during that period where she had cancer because I couldn't do it all. Mm-hmm. And so the kids grew up just a lot faster.
How old are they now?
So my oldest is 14, just turned 14, 11-year-old and a 9-year-old. But this was a few, 4 years ago now. So, Caitlin's 10 and, I got some real young Hannah's around 5 at the time. So as my youngest, so they stepped up and they kind of pulled that, carried their own load, which helped. I think that though those things really help. First of all, I think kids are more resilient than adults realize. Mm-hmm. They're a lot more capable, and they just can handle things a lot more than we think. And I think that it builds more character, them developing that responsibility and carrying the load on their own. I can picture, Lenny, as you're getting older, having that.
Yeah, capable of a lot. I think I agree with that. I think it's always, now that I'm a parent and my husband and we talk about this, that you learn so much from how you were raised, whether you loved it or hated it or somewhere in between. And my mom's always said something which has never been so true and something that I can apply so much is you take what you love and leave what you don't. So my upbringing was honestly absolutely wonderful. I wouldn't change a thing. My mom, she used to be a model actress, and when she got pregnant with my older brother, she ended up stopping that, and she was just a stay-at-home mom and was the most loving, or still is, the most loving, amazing human on earth.
Your mom is a saint.
She is a saint. And so that's how I was raised. So I had my mom 24/7. I still kind of do. She's the greatest person ever. But I've had to really come to the realization that as much as that's how I thought, even when Tim and I met, he jokes about it. I was like, yeah, when we met 5 years ago, talking about having kids in the future, I was like, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. That's been my dream. And it was my dream. So I was not lying. But I've had to come to the realization that I have a little bit of a different personality. I'm quite busy. I need to just have goals and have stuff going on. And so I've taken the parenting that my dad parented too, but he was very busy. So she was like the Suzanne that really was there holding it all together. Yeah. And I've taken what I've loved about that. And I've also just had to realize that Lenny can have a little bit more independence than I had. She can have a babysitter a little more often. She can go to, there's a little church group I bring her to, and she plays with babies. And I never did that because my mom was there all the time. But it's not a bad thing to go bring them and let them be a little more on their own. And I thought it would make me feel bad. And the odd time I'm like, I wish I could be there. But I do find that everyone's parenting style is different, and you kind of have to make what works for you and not judge. I do not judge other people now with how they parent.
Or yourself.
Or yourself. And you do sometimes, and you try to, you just have to be like, you know what? They're fine if they're safe, and you know we love her. And I'm making it sound like I'm never with her. I'm with her all the time. But you just have to play it by ear, and everything that my neighbor's doing might not be how I'm doing it. And I think they're both working, and you raise your kids whatever way it works for you.
I think it's funny how you're like, I don't judge other parents now.
And I used to be like, oh, you send your kids to whatever it's called, daycare, like, and now I'm like, oh, you send your kids to daycare.
You must not love
phone number.
Yeah, you must not love your kids.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I was that bad, but I definitely in my mind would think, oh yeah, I wouldn't do that. And now I'm like, oh no. First of all, kids playing with other kids is wonderful, and I always thought if I needed help, I want like a nanny. And now I'm like, I see Lenny and she loves playing with other babies, and nannies don't really offer that because there's just one person doting on them. So now I, find a different balance there. And it's just, I think in 5 years,
perspective changes. Yeah. I think too, I know friends, I have, other parents where their kids have just struggled and gone down a bad path, right? And it's easy to judge a parent and say, well, if it was my kid, they would never do that. And then you're a parent and your kid does crap like that, and you're like, it's really humbling, right? You start to realize that, it's hard, you can't be judging other people like that because everyone's a little different and different struggles, and you can do everything right and still things don't go right.
Well, and I think it's
part of life.
I think it's funny. I kind of correlate it to levels, right? As we go through our lives, and Eva, you kind of said, there's these 3 big moments in my life that kind of have moved forward, and they're kind of these trigger moments. But it's so funny. So like Taylor Drury, love her. Full of energy, just like living life, party up, like her and Austin, they just got engaged.
She's in that early 20s stage where I was in, and it was great, and it was wonderful. It's just
wonderful.
Different.
So it's so funny because they just, they live like only a few blocks north of Jordan and I, in Utah. And so, we've been able to hang out when they're together. We go on some double dates, we do some things. And it's always funny because we'll get together and they want to just have an all-nighter, right? And mind you, we're at our house. We're going to play games. And so we've got our 3 kids. We put them to bed. And then Jordan and I are like, it's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And Taylor cannot handle when I'm like, hey, so yeah, I think we're going to go to bed. And she's like, what? No. We got to go do something. Like, well, I don't have a babysitter, because I got 3 kids upstairs. And it's just so funny.
You can't just leave them in the house, even though they are sleeping. And technically, I feel like you should be able to, but.
Yeah, she's like, you guys are so boring.
It's frowned upon.
Yeah, you guys are so boring. And I go, listen, I understand, because I remember when I was at that level of my life, I would look at married people and be like, you guys are boring. You don't have fun anymore. And it's like, it's just life comes, and as you hit those steps on the staircase of life, you begin to change, and life changes, and it's like, you covet. Well, your baby sleeps really well, obviously, Eva, but
I still have to stay home with her.
You still have to stay home with her.
I can't leave even though she's sleeping.
And so some freedoms are and things that you were so comfortable with and were luxuries are not that way anymore. And it's just funny how, not judging anyone, but people seem to not understand until they become a mom.
I gotta say, like, I really like people that, have gone through the parenthood. Like, there's
it's a lot
something
easier to relate.
Yeah,
I never got that, and now I get it. It's just easier because they get it.
Yeah, you can relate so much.
And it just builds character, because now you have to go without, you have to sacrifice for another human being. Mm-hmm. You have to give. You have to, they soul suck a little bit, but they also.
But they're so cute.
But they also,
so you're like, suck my soul out. I don't even care.
But they also fulfill your soul. So it's like but simultaneously. But
I have a funny story about Taylor. So I love her too. She's so sweet and so funny, and she's just doing wonderful things, and I love it in the industry. And I mean, I don't live by her, but I'm assuming she's just like that all the time.
Oh, she's like that all the time.
So I grew up in this industry. So I was that early 20s at shows and events, and I was fun and, go out. And I've always kind of been quite under control. You know me. Like, I don't go out and take tequila shots when I'm here with other hunters, but I would go out and, I'd
she's
stay
like,
out later than 8, I should say.
I tell Eva, I'm like, yeah, you're more like a Mormon than you know.
If Mormons could drink a lot of wine, I would
that's
totally
what she told me.
that.
She said, Jordan, I might join your guys' church if you guys would allow wine, because that's my thing.
But
But you're very responsible.
Yeah. So, but I'm trying to say I was that early 20s without being married, and all the young 20-something-year-old boys would be circling around me, and that was just kind of how you are, because there's not as many girls, and that's just what life was. And I was at an event with Taylor a few years ago, and I think a Deer Classic or something. And so we were there, and I think I just got married, so I wasn't a hashtag mom life yet, but I was like hashtag
married life,
hashtag had a husband.
Yep.
And
Off
I was
the market.
at this event, and I was at dinner, and it was actually Matt Drury was also there. So he had a baby at that point. He was kind of more on my level. And then there was Taylor at one side of the table, and there was about 10 young whippersnapper hunter boys all circling around her, and this was before Austin and everything. And they were all like, "Okay, let's go out. We're gonna go to the bar." And me and Matt are like, "We're not going out to the bar. We're going to sleep."
Yes.
Come on, it's like 9:30 right now. Why? And we had to be at the show the next morning at 8 or whatever, all day doing appearances. We're like, the bar sounds like the worst possible location I could go to. And that was, I called Tim that night. I go, I guess I'm not that early 20 anymore. Like, no, and just the fact, like, the guys, these young whippersnappers, they don't come circle around where I'm sitting at the table. I'm like, I feel like this old woman now. All of a sudden, like, have a ring on and no one's allowed to talk to me. I'm like, not like I want to go out and dance with you, but I'm not that old.
I know, but I told you this. I told Tim this when we had dinner. I think it was at NRA. I was like, dude, you realize you broke a lot of hearts, bro? And he's like, I don't care. I love Tim. Tim's probably honestly one of my favorite people. I don't get it. No, he doesn't. I don't get to talk to Tim enough, and I still want to go on a hunt with that guy. But Eva, it's been seriously, it's been awesome to have you on the podcast. And again, like I told Brian's like, what do we want to talk about with Eva? And I was like,
have we even talked about anything yet?
Honestly, we have. Like, I just feel, I told Brian, I just said, I think it'd be great to just, talk about a little bit behind the scenes, like the mom life, legitimately, because, you're in this position, you have this career, and like you said, you're not perfect, but you do your best. And you give your best. You give your best to your husband, to your daughter, to your career, and that's all we can do is strive every day to give our best every day and to do our best. And it sounds like you're doing a pretty good job at it.
And the cool thing about that is that I do my best. And I was just talking about this. I was with Christy last night, and we were talking about this whole. She just had a baby, or she has a baby a month younger than mine, and she's big and has a career and everything. And we were just discussing it's hard, but here's the way you can do it and it be okay, is that you love all those different elements. If there's one of them I didn't love, I would be like, well, I love Lenny so much more, so I'm letting you go. But I'm so passionate about what I do and the message I send and trying to get more people outdoors and healthy living and all that. Like, if it's just your real life and my Instagram, she said, I don't know how you do all those posts and all this stuff. I'm like, well, because everything I post, first of all, I'm partnered with amazing companies that really respect family and balance, and they're not like, go on a sheep hunt and pretend to be hardcore, or, we only want to see that. Like, that's, I purposely chose companies that don't expect that, because that's not who I am.
I heard those Mountain Ops guys are pretty hard to work with.
Yeah, they're nightmares.
They're so demanding.
But if it's your real life and you're telling the truth and you're not trying to fake it or pretend to be something you're not, which I do not do. I'm like, I don't have time for that. I'm way too old for that, pretending to be something I'm not. So I just post about real life. I post about the truth, and it just kind of naturally falls into place. And also, I take a lot of Mountain Ops Blaze.
Oh my gosh! Okay, yeah. Well, in closing,
we have actual text conversations.
Let me share this.
Where
and then
I was asking if you can overdose on Blaze pills, because
I get this message from Riza Leopold, right?
Yeah.
And what's cool is you two are working together now with Leopold. You guys are both on the Leopold team. Eva texts me and she goes, hey, what's the proper dosage or amount that I can have?
No, what's the maximum?
What's the maximum amount that I can have? Because I've had Ignite. I've had about 20 Blaze pills. I said, well, the body usually is okay or comfortable with probably about 1,000 milligrams. I probably wouldn't exceed that, and that's probably pushing it. She's like, okay, yeah, I've well exceeded that, but I think I should be okay. Real quick plug too that is cool, and just kind of a little tease. Is we've been working on a project with Eva that will be coming out this year at some point, right? That is pretty cool, a little under the wraps, but she's been...
I wonder what it could be.
What is it? It's like, oh my gosh, like, this is so great, she doesn't even know.
Mountain Ops, Eva.
It must be a car.
We're
signature car.
We're releasing snacks. Healthy, delicious snacks, nutritional snacks, donuts that are actually good for you.
Last
pancakes.
time I was on your podcast, you got me a birthday cake, and even though it's not my birthday day, it was my birthday a couple days ago.
All right. So what's so funny about that, Eva, is
if you have a cake in your backpack, I'm really so impressed.
So I know this is tradition. And this is just something that, last time we had a big chocolate cake and we had
candles,
and we
now
sang
you're
songs.
making me make my own cake.
And so now, because you're a mom and you're probably really good at, all mom things, I figured, you make, and this isn't.
What the Bowmers have?
Yeah, this isn't Mountain Out's product, but.
So what you're regifting? I know that they just gave this to you.
I'm gifting you this chocolate cake. As a belated
That's how Mountain Ops works.
birthday
Normally
present.
I'd be upset about this, but I've actually really been wanting to try this.
So-
Sarah posts about it all the time.
Happy birthday, Eva.
Thanks. Make my own cake. I guess that's what happens
Yeah.
when you turn 30.
Well,
you
you gotta
a cake mix. It's like an IKEA
If I just
birthday
gave you
cake.
a cake, you wouldn't appreciate it as much as
No,
if you built it yourself.
I would because I'd be eating it right this second.
I'm never gonna win this one. She's got me. We've got a fun project we're working on that I'm looking forward to. It's been really fun working with Eva and she, her family, her dad, Tim, just everybody, the Shockeys, your brother, your mom. You guys are all good people.
Yeah.
It's
I
weird
love each
'cause
of you and appreciate
your
it.
products don't give my dad any muscles, and I'm confused why he's still so scrawny.
Yeah, well, it's because he's getting in sheep shape, and all he does is hike, and you got to lift weights.
He drinks protein. He doesn't.
Your
love
mom
weights.
and him, like I get constant texts
He
and
doesn't
calls.
love weights.
I need more protein, and I'm
They
like,
have
you
it
must
every
be like
single
super
day.
jacked, and he's like, well, yeah, I haven't been to the gym, but
He
I said,
does-
Jim, your name is like your gym. You should be going to the
Yeah,
gym.
he
and
goes to the gym every single morning. Like he is a creature of habit. You cannot break his. He doesn't. First
once
of all,
he gets in a stride, you can't break
no,
that.
you
He's going to
cannot
go.
get in the way. He
Really?
would just run over. Yeah, like he has to go to work out every single morning, every single day. He hikes over the mountain where they live, and if he's at the shows, he's in the gym every single morning without fail. And he has a smoothie every single day. With
Every day they have a Mountain Up smoothie or
It's hard to get him to take all the other products because he's so old school.
Yeah.
and he's
He's
set in
simple.
his ways. But if he starts taking a few other ones, and he's like, "Oh, that's actually really good,"
And he
Like,
likes
yeah,
anything
I know,
that
I tell
isn't
you this.
water.
He hates
I
water.
learned that about Jim. Jim
he
hates
hates
water.
water.
First thing Jim said to me, he said, Jordan, I'm excited to work with you guys. I've obviously from Eva, I've been taking products long before we started working together. He said, but I really want to make sure that you have products that can help me not drink water. I want it to taste different than water. Your dad hates water.
He wouldn't drink water. If you offer him water, he'd literally be like,
If I said, hey Jim, here's a water bottle, he's like, thanks, trash can. But that's interesting, so
That's funny.
he's enjoyed the
I
powders.
So he loves
and
the powders, and they come in little travel sacks.
Yep, he
sections,
loves
whatever you call them.
he loves the travel packs, the trail
yeah.
packs.
Those
but
are awesome for him.
it's anyways, just a shameless plug. Sorry
No,
guys, but we've got something coming with Eva that I think is going to be really cool addition to some of the things that you work on. I mean, you've got a lot of products that you support, companies you believe in, like you spoke to, and this has been an exciting project for me to be a part of because I just really think it's going to be something that the community is going to love and appreciate.
That's one thing that I have learned in my old age of 30 is that
We're old, Eva.
is
that dirty 30 that we just hit.
I'm in that. Oh, darn those 30s. It's actually pretty awesome, and it's great because I feel like now I have the confidence that, just like I was saying, as long as you're telling the truth and living how you really believe is how you should be living, I only am with companies that I actually believe in, that I love, that I use every single day, and of every company that I'm with, the products that I do use the most, I mean Mountain Ups every single day, but it's just the secret project that no one knows what it's going to be that's coming out is something that I use. And people always ask me what my exercise regime is and what my nutrition is and I'm showing recipes all the time. And it's just nice I want to share that stuff. I want to share a positive message and share for people that want to get into shape or want to shoot a bow better or want to, mom life better. Mom life better.
Yeah.
Not that I have all the answers, but I can tell them, at least I can proudly tell them what I'm doing and not feel like it's a secret or feel like there's something to be ashamed of.
Well, and I like that you're not pretending to be anything other than like
who you are.
Like, you're like, I'm a mom and here's my mom day. Right. And it's not like I'm, so-and-so hunter and here's my hunting day.
Yeah,
like, that's not you. Like,
we were out in the blind and we were hunting so hard and it was
but
so cold. Then all of a sudden
I was looking at pictures of Lenny in my phone.
Yeah, that's the best part is the next thing is like Lenny's back at the lodge. You're like, now we're back at camp. We're hanging out.
but that's like appropriate. Like that's not being something you're not. You're you're putting it all out there. And I think that resonates with people.
So one of this is a shameless plug just to myself.
It's okay. I just did that.
Yeah,
I
pretty
can't.
much.
I can't.
So
say
it was one of the nicest things someone's ever said, and I don't think he even did it on purpose to be that nice. He just wrote a little caption. So just quick story. I know you're trying to get me off of your microphone.
I want to be sensitive. I know you're busy. We're just trying to be sensitive to your time.
I have like 15 minutes.
Okay.
or 10 minutes, we'll say. So I just came from Mississippi and Louisiana. I was on a hunt there with the Primos crew, and it was super fun. It was Cottonmouth Ranch. Yeah, so fun. So the cameraman we brought with us that came with me, I've only worked with him one other time. I don't know him super well. Really nice guy. His name is Cody Altizer. We were in the stand. So Lenny's in camp with us. Tim's with us. My parents came a little later. And I have first of all, I don't like sitting quietly no matter what I'm hunting. I cannot do it. And it's like Tim dies because Tim's sitting there with me in the stand just wanting to kill himself because I don't think I took a breath the whole day. I was just like, blah, 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 like whispering, and I said to Tim, the cameraman is quite quiet and he was a little hard to read. Yeah. Like, I know he's getting paid by our company, so I know he's going to be nice, but like, does he hate me or is he just kind of laughing because he has to be polite? And every day we sat out in the morning, would go early in the morning, sit for a few hours, and I'm like, okay, Lenny's getting up, the deer aren't moving, I want to go back to camp. Like, I don't want to sit here for the next 3 hours and miss all day with Lenny. So we'd go back to camp, I'd take her outside, we'd play and go back and go sit in the evening. And I just wasn't sure if I rubbed him the wrong way because I was so chatty and I was like, I want to go back and I love my baby and I don't show him pictures over my shoulder. So we left camp being like, I hope he doesn't hate me. And he posted a picture yesterday and it was a picture, he's a photographer, so took a photo of me and it was kind of a cool photo. And he posted this caption that was really nice, just saying, Eva exemplifies exactly what it should mean to love the outdoors. She loves every part of it. She loves her family. She's so positive and cheerful and happy and whatever. And then it said something like, the world needs more Evas. And I just thought that was so sweet because I was being myself. Like, there was no filter on. Yeah. He sat there for a week in a stand with me of chatting. So
he got the real
deal. And saw me with Lenny and saw me in my element with Tim and everything. And it was just so sweet because I try so hard to show that side of me and not pretend it's all perfect but I just love it. It's just the best being outdoors and being like a hunter and hunting an animal and knowing where that meat comes from and having a baby there to show them and having your husband who loves the same thing. Like, it's the greatest thing on earth. And I hate when anyone ever thinks that I'm trying to fake something or I'm trying to do something that's not really who I am because
and I think
so far from the truth.
We had the guys catching deers on here. And, they talked about how they started their company kind of as a joke. I mean, it was literally a joke.
It was a joke when I first talked to Bud, and then I'm like, wait a minute, it's actually a real thing.
This thing's come, but the overtone of their company is they're trying to bring people together. Take hunting seriously, but take yourself lightly, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I found interesting is just speaking to what you just said. I love nothing more than to be able to come together, whether that's friends or family. And some of my absolute most cherished moments in life are just those moments in the woods with my dad, with Scott, and to be able to, because those are times that we had to have discussions and talks that we probably wouldn't have had any other time. But no matter how you hunt or how long you hunt, how short you hunt, the way you hunt, it's not just about that. Mm-hmm. It's about what you just said. It's about being with your family. It's about experiencing those and raising a child and showing them that lifestyle, that passion. It's pretty powerful. We have a really cool community.
We do.
And it's a very family. And I think is that this community more than any, and there's others that are similar or like it, but it's
a very
not as cool.
There's none that compare to the outdoor industry.
The outdoor industry is phenomenal because that's what it is. It's an outdoor family. That word gets thrown out a lot. And it's cool because you feel like you're family, but then you get to spend time, like you said, with your family, and that's the best time.
Yeah,
it's really
cool. Is when you can actually share your passion for the outdoors with people that you love so much.
Like, I really enjoyed.
I don't know what I would have done if I guess I just wouldn't have, but if I would have found my soulmate and he didn't hunt or didn't want to, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, like if you met, we're
going to have to spend a lot of time apart.
Like he worked for Peter or something.
For Peter, I don't think I would have met someone. I don't think my soulmate would probably work for Peter.
That's murder.
My favorite hunt, speaking to what Eva's talking about, and my wife, I sometimes do a really bad job at expressing this to her, but my favorite hunt last year, I had an incredible time with my first successful archery elk hunt with you. Like, we had an absolute blast. Cool. That was incredible. One of my favorite hunts this last year was with my wife. Jordan and I went on her first big game hunt with a rifle. We went chasing deers with Eric.
The deers.
Now they got me saying deers, bro. Gosh, dang it. Chasing deers, catching deers. We went on a rifle hunt with Eric Chesser, and we went out and she shot at 3 different bucks. Unfortunately, she was not far off, but she was really close. I made some bad calls on not calling the wind for her. Yeah. Her first shot at a deer was at 560 yards.
No one can hit that.
She almost did. all I had to do was have her hold back a little bit, but I didn't account for when that was my fault. But we left that mountain with no meat or anything like that, and I loved that moment that I had to spend with my wife, because I go on a lot of hunts, with a lot of different people, and I enjoy it so much. But gosh dang it, that was one of my favorite times was out there with Jordan, and to see her excitement and her drive, and she loved it. And here's my wife who 4 years ago I shot a squirrel and she was crying and mad at me. Yeah. She was like, "Why did you do that?" So I think it's a powerful message, Eva, that you've shared, and I too agree with you on those matters of family, and the outdoors are some of the greatest things the world has given us.
And wild game. I mean, those things, you just can't beat them.
Nope. Yep. Nope. So
thanks, Eva, coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming. If anybody wants to check out Eva's book, make sure you go to evashockey.com.
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
It's on Cabela's and stores and online, and then all the bookstores.
She has a very small following on Instagram, so if you guys could help her out a little bit, that she'd be really grateful. It's just Eva Shockey.
What's that photographer's handle on Instagram? Do you know?
The guy I was just talking about?
Yeah.
Cody Altizer.
Cody Altizer.
Cody, C-O-D-Y.
Okay, we'll have to go check him out.
A-L-T-I-Z-E-R. Yeah, he was awesome. And go check out the caption that he wrote about me. That's really nice.
Yeah, check out the ode to Eva.
I said it to Tim last night. I'm like, look how nice this is. No response. I'm glad I care about the nice comments about me.
I know.
Lenny, Tim, where are you?
Lenny.
I'm just glad you could come on. And
oh, look how cute she is. You guys.
Let's
just relax on this and just talk about Lenny some more.
What's great about, and I've told you this, is she.
Zoom in on
I know. I wanted to zoom in.
I'm dying.
She's a beautiful mix between the two of you too.
I'm hoping
can you imagine?
Has more of Tim's
can you imagine?
She's got a lot of Tim.
When she's 14 and you're just like hanging out and telling jokes and stuff.
I don't know that 14-year-old girls do that. I feel like maybe when she's 20. I'm a little scared for the 14 to 16 because I wasn't a bad kid. I was a good kid. I was just.
My daughter and I are like buddies. Like
how old is she? Oh,
14.
She's 14.
We just went hunting this weekend, and the two of us, we have the camera rolling for like an hour, just sitting there talking, and waiting for some elk to maybe come by, which was impossible because she talks too much. But
that's my problem too.
But
I get that.
She's like my best buddy, and we talk, and I
think that might be Lenny and Tim because Tim's such a good dad, and he's so sweet and.
My mom might,
I think they might stay like that.
Caitlin doesn't do that with Suzanne as much.
You're
for sure.
You're a father of all daughters.
Well, I have 6 sisters.
Yeah, and you grew up in a home of all sisters.
My dad was gone. He was a truck driver, and so it was me and 6 girls and my mom.
So you get girls.
I feel really comfortable around women.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind crying.
So me and Jordan for you are just perfect.
Yeah, totally. Totally. I can handle it just fine. I don't feel uncomfortable. You put Aaron in the mix.
Yeah, shiv you.
That was.
You put Aaron
right
in,
here.
it's awkward.
I've noticed this. I love my sons, Kenton and Peyton, so much. I'm like, I always wanted boys.
Mm-hmm.
This is when they should stop listening, guys. Stop listening, Kenton and Peyton.
Yeah, sorry, boys. Your sister, Aniston, I'm smitten. Like
that's what I was going to say.
Her so much.
I still have this.
It's a different bond that I have with my boys than my girl.
Of my daughter, when the second day we were home from the hospital, second day, I put her on the bed, I took like 20 photos of her, like on a blanket, and I kept going in like every 20 minutes to check if she was still breathing. Like I was like
so true,
like weirded out by this tiny little thing that you had to like take care of, and never really been into babies. Until they can talk, I'm kind of bored of them, but not her.
Not your own.
And then I remember, couldn't imagine her being adult-ish, like teenager, like grow up blossoming into a woman. And the idea of having like a conversation seemed so out of it. And now it's already here. 14 years is gone. And it's like, we're buddies and we're hanging out and it's a new part of our relationship. I miss the old, I miss the little baby and the cute stuff, but I'm so thrilled with how she's the woman she's becoming.
We say that about Lenny. I get sad that she's turning 1. I get sad. I'm like, that's gone so fast. That little cuddly baby's gone. She already doesn't want to really cuddle because she's got places to go. And then I stop and go, but I get to keep her, I get to keep her for when she's 2 and she's going to be so cute and running. And then at 3 when she can talk, and at 4 when she's learning so much stuff. And that's amazing. Because I get a little nervous, like she's already just getting so big. I miss it and it's gone, but she's not going anywhere.
Honestly, though, I mean,
in all the stages, everyone says it gets better and better. So obviously I'm in for a treat because it's already awesome.
I imagine that you and your parents are hanging out and talking and are buddies.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
And so
the 14 to 16 years, not
so much.
Not the best, but not my finest moments. My dad says he went hunting when I was 14 and told my mom he'd see her when I was 21. And that's pretty much what he did. I was like, I don't even really remember seeing him in that. My poor mom got stuck with teenage girl at home, and my husband was just like, see ya.
Yep, I got to go on another hunt. Sorry.
back to back.
Duty
well,
calls.
I think teenage years are, in general, they can be rough, but for everyone. I mean,
but if you get them outdoors.
Yeah.
And I wasn't into it. I loved outdoors in general, but I didn't hunt until I was 20. And I think if I would have had that, it was offered to me. I just didn't pick up on it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought girls didn't hunt. I thought it was for boys, all those things that are completely false. And now I wish I would have realized that earlier. But if I think I would have had that bond with my dad earlier, that I would have wanted to go out hunting in my 14, 15, 16 years.
My daughter loves it.
I think it might have been a little better. And that's
she doesn't like
what
the cold
and
the
nobody does.
like
waking up early
like the same person.
and all that. But at the same time, she doesn't like it. But she'll endure that for all the rest of it.
That's exactly how I feel. If I could get away with not being freezing cold and not waking up at 3 a.m. and not.
She's in this blind this was in Canada, and you and Tim are in like this bag.
The heater bodysuit.
The heater bodysuit, like. Yeah, we got all these layers of camo and stuff that Cabela's has made for us, and we got everything we need, but we got this bag. And they just look so cozy.
And it actually makes me mad when deer come in, because I'm like, I have to unzip and hold onto my bow or onto my gun or whatever, just in case it's a buck, so when I get all cold, and then I'm like, go away, daughter. Deer, so I can zip this back up.
She's got the Kafaro Whoopie wrapped around her and a parka and all this stuff, and she can sit there and be warm and watch and do it all, and it makes a big difference. Not freezing to death or not being hungry.
That's no fun to be cold. I can deal with hungry and that kind of thing, but if you're cold, I'm like, all I think about is being cold, and then I'm just miserable. I'm like, why? If I just wear a few extra layers, and now I just go out prepared.
My daughter is anti-exertion and anti-cardio. So for her, it's so like
perfect for mountain officers.
If we have to perfect, if we have to climb a hill, she kind of is a little bit difficult. But
that's why you should piggyback her.
That's what dads do. We take it nice and easy. I mean, it's all about her having a blast.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the best way to get people into it, I think. Not scare them, not make them feel like they have to be the most hardcore. Just get out there and enjoy it. Even if she talks and nothing comes in, it's still it's still a success, right?
Thank you, Eva.
Thanks. I need to be across the building in about 3 minutes. So
yes. Stay gritty.
Despite our ever-changing, ever-indignant world with its growing ignorance of and indifference to the ways of the wild, I remain a predator, pitying those who revel in artificiality and synthetic success while regarding me and my kind as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood. I stalk a real world of dark wood and tall grass stirred by a restless wind blowing across sunlit water and beneath star-strewn sky. And on those occasions when I choose to kill, to claim some small part of nature's bounty for my own, I do so by choice, quickly, with the learned efficiency of a skilled hunter. Further, in my heart and mind, I know the truth and make no apologies for my actions or my place in time. Others around me may opt to eat only plants, nuts, and fruits. Still others may employ faceless strangers to procure their meats, their leather, their feathers, and all those niceties and necessities of life. Such is their right, of course, and I wish them well. All I ask in return is no one begrudge me, and all of us who may answer the primordial stirrings within our hunters' souls, my right to do some of these things myself.
What you just heard is a quote from M.R. James. We truly live in a world that is largely ignorant and indifferent to the ways of the wild. And although some regard us as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood, we have the opportunity to change the way these people view the hunter and the hunt. We can share our experiences and nature's bounty with those who employ these faceless strangers. And by so doing, we make a difference, not just for ourselves,
but for the wild animals and the wild places we care so deeply about. Never stop sharing your passion for hunting and the outdoors. Our wild animals and our wild places depend on it.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
Gritty Bowmen.